Hey guys, what is going on? And welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And today, I got a great guest on the show that's going to talk to us about Rey and potentially some other things in the game, ranging from what was Jedi Training Rey's purpose to perhaps maybe some dark side loving in the future. We'll find out in this video here. Let's go ahead and introduce our guest. Why don't you go ahead, my friend? Tell us who you are, what your job is, and we'll get the ball rolling from there.
Yeah, I'm Daniel McLaren. I'm also known as Not Really a Jedi on the forums, and I am the lead game designer over live operations.
Excellent. Yeah, we've met before at EA Play and whatnot, so it's great having you on the show. This individual is very knowledgeable about the game. His hand is behind many things in the game, so he has a lot of knowledge, and hopefully we can get some great answers out of this little interview today. So let's go and get right into it. So I know we're mainly having these interviews between you and me and the other game changers to learn more about Jedi Training Rey. So let's go get this going by talking about what was the motivation or the idea behind Jedi Training Rey's kit and what exactly is her purpose in the game. So I'll go ahead and start you off there.
Sure. So we're pretty much dealing with a character who is starting to become iconic, right? So Disney, Lucas has this push that Rey she's kind of setting the stage for the next era of Star Wars. So when we thought about that, the main kind of challenge for us was saying, all right, how do we bring Rey into the game at a hero's journey level, but not in a way that fundamentally breaks the game? Right now, Commander Luke is one of the most, if not the most powerful character in the game. Exceeding him by even a little bit means that we're going to fundamentally have problems in the future. And so we started thinking about how can Jedi Training Rey go into the game in a way that challenges Commander Luke and is still extraordinarily valuable. So we started kind of analyzing spaces that we think were deficient. One of those is defensive abilities inside PvP. Another is territory wars and territory battles. And then also, how can she function within the raid?
Excellent. Yeah, looking at Rey's kit initially, it looked like she was good. And there was this expectation, it seemed like, from the community that she's supposed to live up to Commander Luke Skywalker's standards because it's a hero's journey. So I guess the question I want to ask right now is, just because it's a hero's journey, we shouldn't always exactly expect a Commander Luke Skywalker type of character. Is that something we should probably keep in mind going forward for potentially future heroes' journeys?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, Commander Luke is different because Luke is so iconic, but that is not a defining factor of who can be good and who can't be good. It's unfortunate that people saw the footage and didn't feel like Rey was as good. We're always very careful. We don't want to give away any of the strategies necessarily. I don't want to put together footage that shows Rey in her optimal party or party compositions, primarily because part of what we expect players to do is to take these characters, experiment with them, find the right spot for them, and see how they would perform on their own. And this is such a difficult line to walk because of the expectations around the hero's journey. And so now we're kind of caught in this like rock and a hard place where you go, oh man, I really want to show off how just dope Rey is, but how much do I want to give away to the community so that there's some sense of like exploration, discovery, and the first person to discover what that team is, and then when they see that unfold, what that looks like. So no, Luke is not a defining factor in that we can't exceed him, and that he won't always be the best. I mean, there's still, whatever next iteration of Rey is, there's still other characters on the horizon, so there's no, I would say that CLS is not the end-all be-all.
So going forward, later on this week, when the whole world gets access to her, what should we be keeping in mind if we want to use her, let's say, in Arena or Territory Wars, because those are arguably two of the biggest things in the game where most of our crystals come from. So maybe, I know you said you don't want to give exactly the best lineup, but give us maybe a general idea of how we should be using her.
I'll tell you this. One of my kind of I don't want to say mandates, but kind of one of the things that we talked about, and I really was stressing, it was very important in the development of Rey, is that I wanted her to be able to replace Zeta Finn effectively, or if not necessarily replace it, that a user would look and go, wow, Zeta Finn is so good, but Rey and that leader is even better. So that's kind of, like resistance is a really important thing with us. And I will say that I will give you one thing. I'll say that if you're not using BB-8 with Rey, you're probably not using her to her fullest or maximum potential. The other thing to remember is that one of our goals is we're really working to get us to a place where there is no one team that is the meta. We're trying to constantly push it forward so that multiple characters have viability in the upper echelons of PvP, and that multiple team compositions have viability. And so Rey pushes us towards that. She is probably the single greatest defensive unit that we have ever released, and her AI should respect that. So I think that when people find that she is extraordinarily valuable within the defensive structure, they may change their minds about that.
This game so far at this point kind of seems like, arguably, that it's become a lot more light side heavy and dominant ever since August, especially for the New Hope reworks, Commander Luke Skywalker, Old Ben, Princess Leia. Amazing reworks, best reworks you guys have ever done so far in this game. Can we maybe expect a rework or additional Zetas for name brand characters like General Grievous? That's a big one. Palpatine or Vader, especially when considering characters like Commander Luke Skywalker has 3 Zetas, and yet the Galactic Emperor has no Zetas, and Darth Vader is kind of losing a lot of viability. Can you maybe share some info on that? Because I know a lot of people are really hoping for that, especially since this year we got 2 heroes' journeys, and Thrawn has really been the one dark side character that can hold a solid place that a lot of people have access for a while now. So can you maybe share any details on that going forward so we have a good prospectus for the next upcoming year?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's very important to note that where we are in the Star Wars kind of timeline is very light side focused. We're coming off of Rogue One, and then we're coming into the new movie. There's a lot of kind of hype around the Rebels. It's always kind of been a Rebels focused story. So, we always are trying to hit the beats that are happening inside the Star Wars universe as well. So, but to say that Empire and Darkseid aren't going to get any love would be patently false. I wouldn't say that at all. We are absolutely focused on making sure that we get characters that everybody wants to enjoy playing. I've said this before in other places, and I'm happy to state that again, which is every faction will receive a pass at some point. I obviously don't have a timeline to share around that, but as the game grows and as the power continues to change and shift, as new characters come out and we get new mechanics and we start to kind of understand the meta better, and as we continue to tweak stuff, absolutely every character will get a pass. We have been talking about Empire, we have been talking about Darkseid. Just right now, it's we're focused on what's coming out with Last Jedi and everything that's kind of happening in that window right now.
All right, yeah, I know maybe you can't give me specific answers here, and I'm trying to at least make sure the community's aware that you guys hear our concerns, because especially when Darkseid territory battles rolled out, or Imperial Retaliation, I should say, one of the things we realized were the limitations of the Darkseid. Unlike the light side, they have many healers, many cleansers, big damage dealers. Then Darkseid territory battles came, and it's really hard to use your Darkseid roster to go against these very difficult enemies. So I just want to kind of bring it to your attention that there are a lot of Darkseid factions, separatists, droids, bounty hunters, and especially Palpatine. Palpatine's the one legendary character, I believe, right now that has 0 Zetas. So these are very important things, and hopefully sometime next year, maybe we can start seeing that stuff come into the game.
Absolutely, and here's the thing: we recognize that, and I'm acutely aware of Palpatine, and I'm acutely aware of where things are on the Darkseid territory battles. We've just gone through and done some balance corrections on Darkseid territory battles so that we can address that. I absolutely hear the community. I have an amazing community manager in Nick Huggett and Cassandra Gomez. I get a lot of feedback from analytics. I read Reddit and the forums myself, so we're very aware of what people need and what they're asking for, and a lot of it is just comes down to timing and scheduling and resource availability. So it is known. We are working towards this, and I think people will be pleased to see the love we're prepared to give Darkseid.
Excellent. I'm sitting on a gear 12 Emperor Palpatine and General Grievous. I'll be waiting for that day. Trust me, I've been annoying you guys about General Grievous for the longest time for sure. So I'm hoping.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Yeah, I know I'm not alone. There's a big crowd out there for that.
And I love General Grievous too. So, two of my favorite characters in the entire Star Wars universe are Asajj Ventress and General Grievous, and I feel like Asajj inside the Night Sister Party has received some pretty significant love, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some General Grievous love sometime in the future.
That'd be excellent. And now we're going to just kind of wrap up here real quick. Kind of like we're kind of addressing these dark side concerns. Many people feel that Capital Games is perhaps unaware of some of the biggest pain points in the game, such as mod management, challenge gear being found in the raid rewards, bronze impacts being a pain, a detriment to pull. So I kind of just want to give you the opportunity to at least state that Capital Games they're actually aware of these issues that the community has expressed, and perhaps a quality of life update in the near future to alleviate some of these pains, because as you make great strides in the game, a lot of things fall behind in terms of pain points. So maybe can you at least tell us you're aware of these issues, you've heard of these, and you're maybe considering ways of addressing this?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, we are acutely aware of everything that that our players do discuss and what they want and what they're hoping for. We are aware of the pain points. I do see them. Again, it comes down to an issue of how many individuals we have on staff and the resources that are available to us, and the amount of time and obligations that we have, and like I said, a living and breathing Star Wars universe that we we operate within. The key thing to remember is we do know about this stuff. We do have a list of all of this stuff, but it does come down to prioritization. And everybody, look, here's the thing. I get that people are going to disagree with how we prioritize things. That's just the way it is. And I fully understand that. I fully accept that. I have no problems that people would be upset by how we might prioritize certain things. But at the end of the day, we have to optimize for moving the game forward and keeping the product alive, and having a 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, 100-year plan to continue to maintain everybody's jobs and the game. So yes, I'm actually a big proponent of getting mod management fixed. I find it to be supremely frustrating. But that is a larger undertaking, much larger than I think we initially anticipated. There's a lot of UI work that goes there, and there's a lot of work that would have to be done to get that into a place I think we're happy with. We are constantly talking about a quality of life update. I think that you'll start to see more quality of life updates throughout the year, and we'll try to balance that against the content that we put out going forward.
All right, and just to kind of touch on this one more time a little bit, you don't have to tell me this is going to be your number one priority, but looking at the game as you've played it, what would you say is the one biggest improvement that Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes needs? Like, if you playing the game, what would be the one thing you'd like to see fixed right now if you had all the power in the world to make it happen?
Oh, I'd love to see better social features so that guilds could coordinate a lot easier and maybe have less friction around that people could chat a little bit better and engage a little bit better. I really fully believe that the only reason we are doing so well is because of you guys, the community, and I'd really just like to get you guys more of those tools and ability to interact inside the game. I think that'd be really cool. I'd love to do something like that, but I don't. To tell you the truth, I don't know if that's I don't know when that would happen.
And then the last thing we're going to talk about here, I get this question all the time in the comments and whatever. People are like, oh, you think this character could come to the game? When do you think they're going to release Jango Fett? When do you think they're going to release this? Could they release this character? I kind of want you to answer this question in regards to what is the process of how a character gets released in the game, and hypothetically, could any character come to the game? Because I've assumed you guys could technically release any character in the game so long as you get approval. So can you maybe give us a brief overview of the process from beginning to end and what limitations there are to adding characters in the game?
Sure. So when we think about characters, a lot of times we try to think of characters in relationship to either what is happening right now in the Star Wars universe. So we do want to try to remain topical and relevant. I can't imagine the kind of blowback we would get as if we released something from some Legends era no-name character and people were like, well, where's our last Jedi Rey? We didn't do something like that. So we try to stay topical. We also try to look at deficiencies in the game. We say, how's this performing? How's that performing? And then we'll say, well, what do we need? And then we'll start there and we'll go like, okay, well, if we needed a healer and we knew we needed a healer on dark side, we might go through the characters that we have available, or the list of all the characters that are in the game or in the Star Wars universe. And we say like, well, thematically, who could fill this role and what would that look like? And so a lot of time it's starting with theme. And as to your question about like who could show up, anybody who's canon, and maybe even some exceptions to that, is on the table. So, but you're right, we have to get everything approved. So it's, we have really a lot of freedom to kind of determine who goes in and when.
All right, yeah, I know there are those exceptions like Darth Nihilus, HK-47, which gets people excited about the potential of other things. But yeah, I always get that question, what character can come to the game? Could Jango Fett come? Could this character come?
Absolutely. You know what, look, we are completely aware everybody has love for Jango Fett. We've got some love for Jango Fett as well internally. It just there's not been an opportunity that we felt Jango Fett would really be able to shine yet. So, but that doesn't mean he's off the table. It doesn't mean he'll never be released. It just means like it's not the right time yet.
All about the timing. Yeah, there's so much going on Star Wars. It's been one of the busiest seasons for Star Wars ever. So it's I can definitely understand it all comes down to timing here. Was there anything else you want to say before we take off here? I'll maybe leave the floor to you. Maybe say a word to the public before we close up here.
Yeah, no, look, I really appreciate you having me on to talk about this stuff. I really love Star Wars, and I really love what we're doing, and it's just such a challenge sometimes to work on something and see people frustrated by it. And I want people to know, like, it's never our intent to frustrate players in a negative way. We always want to show that we do hear them, that we are moving forward with the things that they want. And look, we're human. We're not going to nail it every single time. But I think if you look through our history, when we've tripped and fell, we've stood back up, we've apologized, we've worked to make things right with the players. And then, when we've gotten it right, we've just kept our heads down and said, like, cool, I'm glad that's what you needed, I'm glad that's what you wanted, and just continued to move forward with that. And so, we got a lot of really, really rad stuff lined up. I'm really pumped about the coming year, and I just want to encourage people, like, don't, it's great. Give us your feedback. Tell us what you love. Tell us what you hate. We're always reading it, and we're trying to build this game for you guys legitimately.
Excellent. Great final words there. Thank you for sharing those last thoughts with us. And thank you again for taking the time out of your day to talk to me and the other game changers. Make sure you guys check out the other interviews that I'm Not a Jedi, I'm Not Really a Jedi is doing with the other people. So thank you once more for coming on, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we're looking forward to what's in the future.
Yeah, likewise, man. You have a good one.
All right, you as well. Take care, everyone. We'll talk again soon. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.